Hello, and we are live. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kathleen Packard and Emily Bolton for Lunchtime with Kathleen and Emily. We are so pleased to bring to you what we've been tossing around on our hearts and just kind of wanted to kind of lead out here at the beginning of this week with, and that is women. And how we have a heart for women and would love to help women. And as regards to coming online, perhaps looking to start an online business, bring your skill set to market, perhaps do some selling of some products, whatever that may be. And we are live. I've got some kind of. Thank you so much for joining us today. Glad. Do you hear that, Kathleen?
I do.
For lunchtime,
I have another window open.
We are so pleased to bring to you what we've been tossing around on. Ha! Hang on, people, hang on. Woo! That was a nice technical difficulty. Okay. Wow. Well, Kathleen, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Did you get that other window shut down?
I did. Wow, two of me. I mean, I think I'm like too psyched up for there to be two of me today.
See, they've doubled the blessing today.
Yep, and you know, I was asking myself before we came on, you know, how could this get any better than this? You know, how can it get any better than this? Well, hey, two of me is definitely better than one.
That's right.
I'll take it. Wow. So yeah, you know, Kathleen, I really am pumped up to give our viewers a great half-hour lunch with us. Our heart being for women. We've been talking about this. We know that regardless of whether you're male or female, that sometimes coming online, starting a business can be difficult. But we were talking about sometimes there's women just have. I think perhaps somewhat more difficult time, and I think it has to do with how much we suffer with a sense of self-worth on occasion, and how, as I go through some of this mindset stuff, how we can bring that in and maybe direct it a little more specific to women, and maybe we can help you know, deliver some women from some anguish that they're going through.
I totally agree, because as women, we tend to put everybody else first. We you know, whether it be our kids, our husbands, you know, work, whatever, we tend to throw ourselves into everything else first, except for maybe what feels good for us. What would feel good for us? How often do we ask, what would that feel like if I just did this for me?
Yeah, we definitely do put ourselves last. Oftentimes, I know that certainly would be true for me, and I know many times over the years, friends have come up and said, "Hey, you need to focus on yourself." You know, I'm a widow, raising 3 small kids, and they would see that I really don't take a lot of time out for myself, so they said, "Let us take the kids. You know, go have a spa night, go do something, go do whatever it is you like to do, and just pamper yourself a bit." And yeah, I think we have that orientation to really help others first. And so when I was thinking about some of this and the mindset, and we all face the mindset issues that we have to overcome, that we really have to deal with issues of self-confidence or lack thereof, I suppose, and worthiness, or fears about coming out and being visible and being seen, and fears of possibly making mistakes, and or getting 2 of you in one hangout, and the technical difficulties, like, what do you do? Thank God you were there, because I had no idea. I've never experienced that, so if you didn't say that right away, I wouldn't have known what to do. So I am so grateful that, you know, you are here. You know, the 2 of us together are better than all of us alone, I think. You know, at least as we get going, you know, we're facing our fears. And, you know, how do you feel now that we have 2 weeks under our belt doing this? How do you feel now relative to where you felt before we started?
Oh, altogether different. It was like, you know, am I good enough to do this? Is one of the first things that came up from me. Do I have enough knowledge? You know, knowing full well that you've studied, you've been there, you've done so much of this, but yet putting yourself out there to share it with others, knowing that it could help them, even there still was that fear, is it enough? Am I enough? And am I worthy? Am I worthy? That's a huge thing for so many of us, is our own worthiness.
That is true. We hear that from a lot of women as well. Self-value, and I've been looking into a lot of the mindset stuff just for the last year. I mean, I've done personal development really since my teen years, but coming online last year really has caused me to openly look at the concept of mindset, particularly relative to marketing myself online. So when I look at that, and I look at just some of the struggles that women have in particular, one of the things that was a concept that I had recently heard relative to mindset in women is relative, again, I'll step back a little bit, it had to do an overall sense of what is money. Money is a currency. It's something that is used to exchange, to assist in the exchange of value. What I have that has value and what another has that's value, and we want to have a transaction. And so money affects that. Money has a certain value, and what the other person has value, and we match the two up. So money is an exchange of value. And one of the things that I had heard recently that stuck with me, that is somewhat generating this particular lunchtime, is that for women oftentimes do have issues with valuing themselves sufficiently. And so when they come into this online space or into the marketplace, it doesn't even really necessarily have to be online, but when they come into a business setting and they're trying to value their services or value their products or even conceive for themselves, can I provide value? They tend to underestimate the value. They tend to deal with all this sort of yucky self-doubt, like who would want to buy from me, who I don't have value to give. They can see it in other people, but they have a hard time seeing it for themselves.
And so many of them have just, maybe they've been home raising children. Now, to me, there's no more important job in your life than you'll do than that, and it requires so much. But just because they didn't get paid for it, they didn't monetarily get something for that, or they have supported perhaps their husband in his career. They might not have gotten that bonus or that paycheck every week, but it doesn't mean that they weren't valuable in assisting with that income that was coming into that household. But so many may have taken jobs that were less than, because maybe they didn't see their own value. Their value of who am I to make more money than my friends or my husband or my relatives. So maybe they undervalued who they are.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, that they are. But it's a great point that you make about being home. That one sort of escaped me, and it shouldn't have, because I too have suffered a bit from that, having been homeschooling my children, and really kind of I dabbled at the church with some minor amount of what I would call employment, if you will, for a couple of years, really just kind of helping with the finance. But even so, there was more volunteering, so the compensation was more volunteering-like and not really at my full worth. And I suppose, if I think honestly about it, that did impact how I felt when I came back into the marketplace. And so we can readily see that women have this issue with valuing themselves. So when it comes time to value their service, to feel that they can accomplish this or be worth something, because they have, let's call it like a negative energy, they have a negative mindset. That mindset, and you had mentioned it in one of our previous lunch times, there's that financial thermostat. that sense of not worth much, so it's set kind of low. And so consequently, when it comes to flourishing online and being successful online, that's not what their minds are saying. Their minds have a governor on them, a governor that controls the speed or controls how high you can go, like a thermostat. So it's set low. And so that's an added complication that I believe that women have in terms of being successful when they come to market their skill set or their products, whether it be online or offline. What do you think of that?
I definitely think that that's a huge part of it, because they're again putting themselves out there. It's like, well, I just don't feel worthy. How how can I go out there and share something, and who's gonna buy from me? Who's gonna listen to what I have to say? And but yet they have so much value. Every Everybody has something to bring, and I think it's now reinforcing that in them, that they do have value, no matter what level that they think that they are at. There's value. There's a whole lot of value.
So in part, I think if we can help some women, and men for sure, absolutely men too, but as we point our discussion towards women, one of the things that we can see, and we've only been having our lunchtime hangouts together for 2 weeks now, but both of us have experienced sort of this exponential, amazing growth in our sense of worth, that we can do this, that we can give value to people. We actually see it. We have this vision, and it's sort of taken over a bit, and people are validating us in that. Now, we already knew we had this, but it wasn't like we, were totally free of some of those nagging self-doubt, selfless, thoughts, that were interfering with flourishing to the extent that we can. And one of the things, a beautiful thing about bringing on, we've had a number of women who have made a decision that they were just going to press through those fears, those thoughts, and they're going to go out and deliver their value. Now, they thought it was a little, and so initially they thought they were just putting a little worth out there, but they were doing it anyway. But what happened? What happened was that they discovered that what they didn't value much turned out to be of great value to others. And look at how their businesses are growing in such a short period of time, because they're now acknowledging, confirming, and seeing their own value.
Well, and you think about one of the things that, trying to get them to maybe take a step back and look at what they have been doing and where they've already been adding value that maybe they didn't get a paycheck for, but maybe they were volunteering. Maybe they were on the PTA at school. Maybe they were a soccer mom and they were transporting kids, or they're rooting the kids on and encouraging, and they've already been a coach. They've already been coaching people. They've already been maybe handling the finances in a volunteer organization, or they've headed up getting some fundraiser going. Think of all the different titles through the years that you have held, but you have not put any value on because maybe it was volunteer. Sorry about that. That's my driveway alarm.
No, that's okay. That is an excellent, excellent point, because we often hear that we need to draw on those prior successes. And when we talk about being empowered, well, if you step back and think about being empowered, you can really feel a surge of life, like just life. And we're often hear from the gurus that made it ahead of us to go in and examine and get into the energy, get into the life, get into the feeling of when you were successful. Get into the energy of when you had these accomplishments. Get into that energy and stay in that energy. Feel it, get to know it, get comfortable with it. And while you're maximizing it and really identifying it and really resonating with it, it's then that you then take into your mind where you want to go, what it is your chief definite purposes, what it is you want to accomplish, and behold what you want to do. What you're trying to do is to draw upon those wonderful memories, like examples that you gave us, Kathleen, and draw upon those successes. Maybe it's a prior career before the children, but to draw upon them and to hang out in the imagery of where you want to go and begin to have that image have an association with that powerfulness, the empowerment of your prior successes. And you're knitting that there, so when you think of your vision, you're thinking power, not, you know, I'm not worth much, you know, all the negative talk. No, you want to go into the positive emotion, the positive thoughts of your prior successes, all the worth that you have already contributed. Get into that, emote in that, get that energy and bring it into your future. Have intention and focus and push it forward, and it will essentially open the way and nail the fear and get it, well, if I may, get the hell out of the way.
There you go.
I did it.
You did do it. Just sent it right on its way.
Somebody put a governor on her mouth.
But isn't it so true? Because if we can just think about, you know, maybe somebody praised us at one point when we were maybe volunteering or we had set up something, and somebody said, you know, thank you, what an awesome job, or what a great thing that you did. And we just kind of sometimes poo-poo that, and we set that aside because we got all this other stuff going on. And we just think, well, that's what I do. You know, it's no big deal, it's just what I do. And you just didn't capitalize on how good you really are. And what strengths you really do hold inside of you and what you have to offer. And it's just, you know, just trying to recreate that and let people know how much worth they have. I just think that we're in a society that goes so fast that we just zoom by knowing what value that we actually hold within us.
Yeah, you made some great points. It made me think of women as givers. We're not receivers. And so we may have very much, as you mentioned, overlooked some beautiful compliments. And they say oftentimes, if you're a woman and you receive a compliment, receive the compliment. Don't immediately negate it by saying another compliment or diverting attention.
Or throwing it back by sending it back to them. No, receive it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, because we haven't received it. If we volleyball it back, you know, if you actually take it, receive it, hold it in your heart, and, you know, guard it in your heart and examine it in your heart, and it will begin to grow. And so you are absolutely right. We need to really be able to receive the fact that, you know, we are worthy. We do have a lot of value. And we probably missed that portion of what was given to us, you know, that people had said, teachers might have said, or parents might have said. We probably just had the ears for all the negative instead of really holding on and just beholding and enjoying the beautiful compliments that we've received over time, which are go into our piggy bank, if you will, our piggy banks of ourselves, and are the reserve by which we can then give from. And if we can help women in any way begin to tap into that, I was thinking earlier, and one great way to build up that reserve is we had Dustin Walker and Martin Danzer last week, and Martin came out in a really big way, and he developed a whole lot of reserve in his piggy bank of himself in terms of being just supported and just, oh my goodness, people just came out of the woodwork to support him in coming out, even though he struggled coming out. It's such a safe environment. I cannot recommend enough, no matter what company you may be with, maybe you're not even in online business or offline business, but would like to join this community, you are welcome to come on in. It's the Simple Freedom Mindset Victory calls every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Message either Kathleen and I, and we'll get you that information. Check our boards. We've got that information. And if I think about it and don't get too busy right after this, I'll get that posted in the comments down there or in the description. But yeah, he in that call, it's so safe. Somebody commented on that today in the call. It's a safe environment to come out, and it's so edifying and supportive. People need to get that, because you can come out of that and say, oh, wow, you feel better. Has that ever happened to you too, Kathleen?
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's part of that stretching. If you feel safe and somebody says, it's time for you to grow. And that's what happened with Martin. Dustin had decided it was time for him to grow and stretch. And it's so much easier to do when you are in a safe environment. If you feel that love coming and that positive energy from the group or from the people around you, then yes, you're going to be more willing to take that step and go where you haven't gone before, or that you are not comfortable because of something in your past. Who knows what could be holding you back? But whatever it is that's where your growth comes from, is when somebody else helps you stretch. They give you that hand and they say, come on, if they're pulling you along, and somebody's behind you saying, you're going. and, and then everybody's showering you with love while it's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when true growth can really happen, because you're not only being fertilized and watered and loved and sung to and all those things that make you just, perk up and flower out. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
It so really is, and we all need it, and women in particular need that, and being able to flourish. And I want to point out, as we look over people that have succeeded before us in larger ways, whether it's humongously so, or whether they're really beginning to get that momentum and start to grow. The ones that have learned to step out, face their fear, offer what little value they have, to not worry about being perfect, just get it going. Because every single one that we look at, oftentimes was very uncertain they had any real value, or they dealt with the fear that people wouldn't value it. They dealt with the stuff that entangles you from going forward. So we know they have, but we also know that when they stepped out and began to get the visibility equals dollars. Visibility equals dollars. Now, how can that be? I believe it's because they underestimate their own value, and once they step out, give what value they have, and it becomes visible, their value is visible, what they've done is visible, they then discover these people that had witnessed it, that had encountered it, and they come forth. And they edify and they support, and when they come to know, like, and trust you, which they can't do when you're hanging out in the shadows, You've got to be out there, and when they see you out there and you're presenting your craft, you're presenting your skill set, or your product if that's the case, when they see that, they approach you. They can't approach you if you're hiding in the corners and don't know you're there, but they approach you, and that edifies you, and they start doing business with you. And before you know it, like all these other folks that I've mentioned, the dollars start flowing in, sufficiently enough to support their households, sufficiently enough to retire their spouses, sufficiently enough to quit their jobs. I mean, is this not what we want?
Oh, you bet. I mean, how many people, you know, they have fallen into the trap of the financial, of the, you know, being entrapped to the banks and the credit card companies and all of that, thinking that was the path to the life that they desired. You know, not intentionally going into debt, but the things that they saw that they may have purchased, to thinking that that's what would give them what they wanted.
Mm.
Filling that void, filling that spot of, yeah, you know, this is going to be great. And for a few minutes, for a few days, for a few whatever, it probably was. But it doesn't last. It's so fleeting, because it hasn't fulfilled that true void that's within them, that they what they have to give, what they have to offer. And it doesn't give them that lifestyle. They're after, what they're really after is a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've come here, they want to do something in this universe, and they can't do it because they don't have the energy that you trade, which is money.
Mm. You know, that's a kind of a good point, because they do feel, oftentimes when we know as women ourselves, we feel that there's something lacking. There's a void. We don't have all that we desire. And so, unfortunately, that often translates into trying to fill that void with either food or shopping. You know, just fill that need and get that elation. But that's not the truth. That won't solve the problem. And oftentimes it does have a sense of a lack of self-worth, which translates into a lack of relationships that they're looking for. And that is one of the beautiful aspects of the social media opportunity. Now, people say, well, that's not real friendships, but that's a bunch of malarkey. They don't know what they're talking about. Because we have each other now. We've met on a number of occasions. You know, we've traveled together. We're traveling again. I cannot wait to spend like 5 days in a house with you. You know, we're going to have such a blast. So with our other friends too on this mastermind. So this is going to be such a cool thing. But the fact of the matter is, you truly can develop real good, true relationships online and get that sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. And that is what we're seeing with a number of these gurus, or not even the gurus, but the people that we've interviewed, people that are beginning to get momentum, that once they get visible, once they put their energy and their thoughts on giving value, and they get visible, the dollars start flowing, the visibility starts being there, people begin to relate with you. And we've seen that. 2 short weeks, we've seen the relationships really picking up with us. This is fantastic, because we really do need to get to know more people if we're going to keep bringing them and parading them on. We really do need to get to find out who they are and
Right.
how we can help them. So we really look forward to that. But again, that begins to satisfy. It also edifies us. It shores us up that, you know what, we are offering value. People see that value, and it begins to soak in us, and we begin to believe it. Now, we want to just be able to say, and I know we got to wrap up, and I'm going to let you do the wrap up on this one. Kathleen. But we really want to give that to our viewers. We really want to be able to help them in this manner, and not to like let the cat out of the bag, but we're actually developing a wonderful little seminar for women, overcoming debt, increasing their finances, and helping them through some of the mindset stuff. But we're not ready to go into too much detail here. But just the kind of hints, we have it out there, and we really, really are dedicated to helping others just really begin to flourish. And I'm going to throw my CPA skills into this and my certified tax coach, and throw a lot of the experience that I have helping so many other people come out of debt, myself included, over the course of my years as well, and begin to save money. But Kathleen, we do need to wrap this up so we can stay. We'll just put that little teaser out there, but we'll wrap it up for now.
Really, it has been a wonderful Monday. This is a great way to start off embodying women, to start valuing who they are, what they're worth, and just start believing in themselves again. So with that, I think we'll call it a wrap for Monday, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the same time.
Excellent. Thank you. God
How
bless.
can we make it any better than this?
I don't know, but I am more than willing to let God show us. God bless. Take care. Peace be with you.